This attack caught everyone off guard, and Zhang Yi decisively opened the space shuttle and left the place. Others hurriedly used all means. Even if they fell into the rocks, they tried their best to block the attack of thorns that were harder and sharper than steel. Perhaps it was Zhang Yi's words that inspired their fighting spirit, or it was the idea that the army of the underdog must win, and they lived to the death. These top-level mutants who were in the limelight finally started to fight for their lives. Di clenched his teeth, and suddenly a surging spiritual power surged out of his body, rushing his hair high into the sky. In an instant, his black hair became whiter than snow, and the surging spiritual power wrapped around his body, making him fly high into the sky. Seeing this scene, Bailey Changqing, Qi Guangming, and the members of the investigation team who were hiding behind the building watching the battle in the distance all showed expressions of pity. Di's floating gun consumes mental power. Once this power is overused, it will consume his lifespan. At this time, Di has already ignored the consequences and began to burn his mental power crazily. This approach can allow him to briefly touch the threshold of Epsilon. Di's changes attracted the attention of Yuan Kongye. She frowned, not expecting a new trouble to arise. Di laughed crazily. He knew what this meant to him, but now he had no other choice. Bian Junwoo could sacrifice for the team, and so could he, Di. Die for me, damn bitch! Around Di, countless balls of light eroded towards Yuan Kongye as he waved his right hand. The power of this attack was completely different from the previous one, at least it was improved by several levels, and he raised his hands high and actually condensed a huge ball of mental light with a radius of nearly 1 meter, and then swung it fiercely towards Yuan Kongye. The huge floating cannon was extremely fast and contained an incomparably terrifying destructive force. Others were not idle either. Together with Di, they launched attacks on Yuan Kongye from all directions, especially Zhang Yi, who actually went around behind Yuan Kongye and started to attack after locking onto her with his Kamuit. Yuan Kongye frowned, not daring to be negligent in the slightest. She also felt the threat of death. Destruction! The terrifying light of destruction once again swept in all directions with her as the center, Zhang Yi and Di, one after the other, also used their strongest attacks. The terrible power intertwined and collided in the air, presenting a colorful color, and then began to annihilate everything around it silently. After this fight, a look of fatigue finally appeared on Yuan Kongye's face. She can possess countless superpowers, but the superpowers in her body can be exhausted. Facing the joint attack of 2 top-level mutants at the same time, even she could not remain calm. However, after this attack, Di's condition took a sharp turn for the worse. His face became haggard at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his eyes were a little dim. The next moment, he fell headfirst like a crashed plane. This attack exhausted everything he had. Bailey Changqing rushed over and caught him. On the other hand, Zhang Yi quickly stuffed mutant food into his mouth while fighting. He is not afraid of a war of attrition. Even if he displays Kamui continuously, his mutant power can be replenished quickly. Zhang Yi and Di's combined strongest attack finally made Yuan Kongye look a little tired. However, the current situation is not optimistic, because except Zhang Yi, everyone else has suffered injuries of varying severity. Di is completely useless and can no longer fight. A large pool of blood gushed out from the corner of Xiao Honglian's mouth. Even with the battle armor condensed by the purgatory furnace, she could not withstand the aftermath of the power of annihilation. As for Wei Dinghai, one of his arms was broken and the whole person was almost useless. Only Zhang Yi and Bailey Changqing could still stand in the field. But how could the two of them defeat the nearly invincible Yuan Kongye? Despair, complete despair. The strength of a high-level mutant is such a complete crushing of a lower-level mutant. If it weren't for Bian Junwoo's death, Bailey Changqing even wanted to win her over and make her a member of the Jiangnan region. But he couldn't do that, because that would be a betrayal of a brother in life and death. Why do you have to struggle so hard? That will only increase the pain. It's better to let me kill you quietly so that you can all be free. Yuan Kongye's voice came like a god. She saw that the people in front of her were no longer a threat to her. Even though Zhang Yi was a bit weird, his only threatening means, Kamui, could not break Yuan Kongye's destruction. At this moment, Yuan Kongye enjoyed this powerful feeling very much. This feeling of being able to dominate everything and destroy everything is really great. Outside the battlefield, several members of the investigation team couldn't stand it anymore. Although their abilities were not suitable for fighting Yuan Kongye, they could not bear to see their teammates die tragically. Only Liang Yue and his group hid behind the boulder and watched Zhang Yi in the field, but they were full of trust in him. Liang Yue murmured, "How could Zhang Yi, who fears death the most, be a hero without certainty? He must have a way." Sure enough, at this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly spoke. He sighed softly and said to Bailey Changqing and others, "Well, it seems that your limit has come to an end. Although what you have done is a little less than I thought, it is almost enough." Zhang Yi's tone of voice was a little loud, which surprised the people around him after hearing it. Yes, they admitted that Zhang Yi's Kamui had a great restraining effect on Yuan Kongye. But in their impression, Zhang Yi's strength lies in defense, not attack. If it was a one-on-one match today, he would probably be killed by Yuan Kongye within 5 seconds. So they didn't understand why Zhang Yi suddenly changed his attitude. Yao Honglian said in pain, "Does he still have a killer move?" He waved his hand, but his eyes were fixed on Yuan Kongye, not leaving for a moment. "Leave here! I will take over the next battlefield!" Things have developed to this point, and everything has developed as Zhang Yi thought at the beginning. And the significance of these mutants coming is to help Zhang Yi consume Yuan Kongye's power as much as possible. Perhaps it can be said that from the beginning, Zhang Yi did not expect to rely on them to defeat Yuan Kongye. Bai Li Changqing looked at Zhang Yi in astonishment. "Zhang Yi, you are not kidding? Really?" Zhang Yi asked calmly. Of course not. No one would seek death at this time. They also did not think that Zhang Yi would be the kind of great person who would sacrifice himself to fight for others' chances of survival. Since Zhang Yi said so, they could only choose to believe it now. "Then I'll leave it to you." Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai did not hesitate and decisively dragged their injured bodies away. Xing Tian glanced at Zhang Yi, gritted his teeth, and said, "Zhang Yi, our last hope is placed on you." He gathered all his last superpowers together and then blessed them all on Zhang Yi. This made Zhang Yi feel that his body was stronger and faster, and even his 5 senses became extremely sharp. Yuan Kongye did not stop others from leaving. As long as she wanted, no one in the entire Tianhai city could escape. She was just very curious about Zhang Yi's attitude and didn't know what this man wanted to do. Bailey Changqing sent Wu Di, who was almost exhausted, away, but returned to the battlefield. His injuries were not light, but he could still control them, so he would not leave the battlefield. Zhang Yi saw this scene but did not stop it. Yuan Kongye saw this scene and said, "What on earth is he going to do? Since Bailey Changqing is willing, then let him fight together." But Zhang Yi did not expect him to play a big role. Bailey Changqing suddenly threw a black pistol over. Zhang Yi recognized it at a glance. It was the pistol of their captain, Bian Zhongwu. Zhang Yi frowned slightly. "Gun?" Bailey Changqing said, "There are about 20 origin bullets in it." The name of the origin bullet made Zhang Yi a little tempted. It was a bullet specially used to deal with mutants, and it could even pose a certain threat to Yuan Kongye. "Okay, I'll take it." Zhang Yi raised his head and looked at Yuan Kongye, narrowing his eyes slightly. "Everything should have an end, right?" Yuan Kongye's mouth curled up slightly. She was suspended in midair, her body enveloped by a sacred light. "Who gave you the confidence?" "Zhang Yi, you know nothing about power. As for me, I haven't tried my best yet." Yuan Kongye opened her arms, and the majestic supernatural power formed a violent storm around her. "Now, I'm slowly getting used to so many abilities in my body. Don't worry, I'll kill you soon and take away your power." With Yuan Kongye as the center, a more terrifying storm emerged. The ground under Zhang Yi and Bailey Changqing's feet was broken even more severely, and countless broken stones were suspended in the air.